You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
Okay, welcome. We'll call the Board of Selectmen for December 6, 2023 to order. Item 1, to consider and if appropriate, approve the Board of Selectmen minutes of November 15, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move second. Any edits, corrections, errors? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, carries. Item 2, tax appeals. Typically, we go into executive session with the attorney on this. However, he was unable to attend today. He did provide us, each selectman, with a detailed outline of the proposed settlements. These are for 39 Ferry Lane and 31 Ferry Lane. I would entertain a motion to accept those proposed settlements.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 3, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from James Finch, Finance Director, to waive the bid for auditing services for fiscal year 2023-2024 and award the contract to Clifton Larson Allen LLP in the amount of $89,000. Jim?
Yep. Just a quick clarification. What we're asking the Board of Selectmen, or what I'm asking the Board of Selectmen tonight, is to waive the requirements for bidding. The Board of Finance, by statute, for towns that have a Board of Finance, are actually the appointing authority. I think I would like to begin by basically addressing probably what is the obvious question, is you were here last month, why are you here again this month, essentially? And so let's take a step back. I think a good way to go through this, because there's a lot to unpack, is to sort of explain historically what a normal year looks like and where we are today. And when you contrast those two things, then you'll understand, I believe, the request. It'll put the request in a more proper context. So if you go back about 5 or so years ago, there were a fair number of municipal audit firms out there. Folks would graduate from college going into that. Towns that went out to bid usually got 3 or 4 bids for their audit. The schedule in Branford typically was the audit report would come out in December, which is what the requirement is. Audits are due pursuant to the state of Connecticut at the end of December. And then the auditors would present their report to the Board of Finance, typically in January. And in Branford, we typically waited till we received our audit before we appointed auditors for the next year. So if you go back and you look during normal years, you would see auditor appointments typically in February, March, sometimes April if, say, a month extension was filed. That was the normal process. And then once the auditors were appointed in February, March, they would come out again in June to look at some year-end testing. They would come back typically in October to do their final field work, and again release the audit report in December. Over the last period of years, for a variety of reasons, some of you may recall we had a significant finding in the tax office a couple years ago. And then we've also have experienced the challenges of getting our audit published. And for example, one of the partners had, represented in a informal Board of Finance meeting prior to the full meeting, was that they just didn't have the resources to dedicate to the account. And so we found ourselves in the 21 audit waiting for months until the report got published. And our experience was not unique. And because it's not unique, and a lot of other towns have experienced this as well, the state of Connecticut is trying to get a handle on this. And so they've been looking to the towns that still haven't produced their audits to come up with a plan to address that. So I came in October to ask that the bidding be waived. Now, why did I ask that? Well, historically, the audit reports were under $75,000 a year. And pursuant to our code, if your costs for the audit and other services are less than $75,000, there's no requirement to go out to bid, and the Board of Finance would make those appointments. So what would typically happen is, it would just be going to the Board of Finance, they would make the appointment. This year, for 2023, the anticipation was that the audit would cost more than $75,000, and in fact, it was just over $80,000. That was what was presented at the October meeting. And so what needed to happen is the Board of Selectmen would essentially waive the requirements for bidding, which freed up the Board of Finance to make an appointment. So October, you guys waived the bid. Later that month, the Board of Finance approved CLA. We filed our report with the state for 2023, naming our auditors. So now let's go to the 23 audit. So we anticipate that the auditors are going to come out in January, the end of February. And in doing so, we're hoping to get the audit done in June. And if that works out, we still have now 24 to do. Well, now we're sort of at a disadvantage because the field work that would normally start in 24, it's going to be harder to get those resources because the towns that are finishing their 23 audit in December, based on a normal schedule, will be appointing their auditors probably in February like we did. So part of our thought is, and this thought occurred actually since October. I was actually out raking leaves on Friday after Thanksgiving when it came to my mind, and you're probably thinking my life is enviable, but nevertheless, the thought was that if we can sort of get our auditors contracting for 2 years, then we can align our contracts with the timing schedule, and we would not be in an adverse position compared to other towns that are securing audit contracts in an environment in which there are not a lot of municipal auditors. I got a call from North Haven about a week ago, just what my thoughts of CLA were, because they went out to bid and that was the only company that bid. And so what a lot of these firms are doing is they're not even responding to bids, but giving, basically, but will continue with their present clients. So here we go again, right? So now we're looking to secure the auditors for 24. I had a discussion with the first selectman and the chairman of the Board of Finance as to that strategy. And they both concurred, yeah, it makes sense to try to tie them up, metaphorically speaking, of course. And so, okay, well, if I'm going to come to the Board of Selectmen and ask for a waiver, I think a logical question would be, well, how much does it cost, right? Because, you're probably thinking, okay, $75,000, how much over $75,000 is this? And that might be part of your calculation. Well, in order to do that, I reached out to CLA and asked for a proposal, which is attached to your agenda. Because the Board of Finance is the appointing authority, all those communications over the years get addressed to Joe Mooney, not to me. And so I received the email and forwarded it to Joe Mooney. And after some discussion with that, the decision was made that, yes, the strategy of going, again, reaffirm the strategy. If they said the price was $150,000, we'd probably have a different conversation, to use a ridiculous example. So the strategy was to come back. And then I had seen that you guys were having a meeting, and so it made sense to come back to you guys as soon as possible so that when we have conversations going forward with the state of Connecticut, who is trying to basically address all these late audits, we can make the representation that our Board of Selectmen has waived the bidding requirements for '24, and that the chairman of the Board of Finance is amenable to looking at appointing them at the January meeting. So essentially, if the Board of Finance appoints CLA at the January meeting, it's similar to what would have been a normal year, as I described earlier, when the auditors would get appointed in February. So it puts us on a schedule where we would normally be, and what we have to do in the calendar year of '24 is that, we're going to press to really get 2 years of audits done so that we can get caught up. And again, the audit process involves more than just the finance department. If you were to draw a triangle, one side is the town finance department, the other side is the Board of Ed's finance department, and the other side of the triangle is the auditors. So all of those groups have to be working together, rowing at the same time. And by basically lining up these contracts, I think it gives us a good, if not a puncher's chance of doing that. And some of the other things that we won't have as headwinds, hopefully, in had is, you may recall, in '23, some of the other challenges of the finance department that we had is we had a major upgrade of the financial system, was one, and we implemented a new budget presentment system. So we won't be doing that again. Of course, on the other side, we'll be probably doing a bond issue at some point in '24. But I know I've spoken a long time. There was a lot to unpack, so I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Jim. It was very clear, but are there any questions?
He answered all the ones I talked to him about today, so I'm
Right.
fine.
All right. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, it's moved second. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, item 4, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request to place a Christmas tree at the supply pond. The board may recall last year, the Parks and Open Space Committee heard this request or this item due to years past of a tree being decorated up at the supply pond woods. They voted to have the Board of Selectmen act on this request annually. I did receive an email request from Mike and Notes requesting the tree. I did email it back if it does get approved, to be sure that its decorations are limited to the tree. We had some concerns that were raised about it extending beyond the tree, which, she certainly, she acknowledged that should be limited to the tree. And the approval is for the weekend after New Year's Day, and they'll clean up everything after that. So,
There were no concerns last year, so I'll make a motion to approve.
second. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 5, green use, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from Harbor Lights for the use of the town green on December 16, 2023, from 4:30 PM to 9 PM for a luminary lighting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move second, and all in favor say aye.
Aye.
If there's any correspondence, any other business? Only thing I will add, our next regular scheduled meeting is for December 20th. We will be canceling that meeting. I have unable to attend. However, if any business should take place prior, that needs to be acted on before our January meeting, we will convene a special meeting. And also, just a reminder that the new year, our meetings will start at 4:30 PM. All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Branford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BranfordTV.org.